In today's video, I'm excited to relaunch our TLB Mallorca GMTO of some of my favorite basic dress shoes. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love helping the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes. Join me as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. I'm often asked by many of you of a good place to start for those looking to really make the jump in investing in high-quality Goodyear welted footwear. The reality is that it's very challenging to find a well-made Goodyear welted dress shoe for around the $400 price point. That's why we launched this GMTO. I've reached out and worked with TLB Mallorca, which is one of the really famous, well-known Spanish shoemakers based on the island of Mallorca. This is the same island that Carmina is working off of. And they have such an incredible and rich history of making high-quality Goodyear welted footwear. These represent the basics or the classics, those timeless dress shoes that should really be the starting point and serve as the foundation for any well-developed wardrobe. And that's why we came up with this GMTO, is we really wanted to offer to all of you a high-quality footwear at a very reasonable price. These shoes are available through our GMTO, or Group Made to Order program, where for the next 2 weeks, we're gonna aggregate as many of the orders of customers that are interested in commissioning a pair of these shoes and then submit them to the factory to be made. What this allows us to do is to offer these at a more competitive price, but then also give you access to some really interesting models. And so in today's video, I'm gonna talk through this entire range of shoes, why I like each particular model, and what makes it special. This GMTO is available on kirbyallison.com. You can find it under our accessories/miscellaneous fantastic things category. They're available for pre-order. You can select your size, the particular finish you want, because many of these models are available in 2 different leathers. And then that'll be placed into our GMTO that we're gonna submit to TLB at the end of the month. Now these shoes are sized in their European counterparts, so 40, 41, 42. We have a sizing guide on the website, and one of the things that's important to know is that we're 100% committed to you receiving the proper fit and size. So rest assured that if for some reason you missize your shoe and you end up ordering the incorrect size, you receive it, and then it doesn't fit perfectly, we will work with you to have a second pair made to ensure that you get the perfect fit. So you don't have to worry about getting stuck with a shoe that doesn't fit, because we're 100% committed to making sure that these shoes fit you perfectly. Another important thing is, by popular request, we've actually added a wider width, right? So they're available in kind of the standard, D width, but we've also added a wide E width for those that have slightly wider feet, as many of us in America do. So let's talk about these exciting shoes and why I think TLB is doing such a fantastic product at just $425. First, we have 2 of my favorites, of course, the Captoe Oxford. As you all know, I'm a huge fan of the black Captoe Oxford. I feel like this is such a foundational shoe that everyone should have a part of their wardrobe. Now, it's not right for everyone, because some people that maybe dress more casually don't dress up in suits. Maybe you're just wearing odd trousers, khakis, or even denim. Maybe black's not right for you. But for those that are going into the office, for those that really enjoy putting on a jacket and tie, a black shoe has a place in every single wardrobe. And really, it's a little countercultural and counterintuitive right now, because so many people advocate for brown. But I would in fact say that black done well is really exceptionally elegant. Now, what I like about this black Captoe Oxford is that the model itself has really good balance. You can see that the cap is large enough that it balances out the aesthetic. It's not pitched too far forward, and it's not too far back where you have to worry about creasing across the cap itself. It's made from a beautiful open grain leather. This is a high quality leather that's gonna age beautifully. It's gonna take polish. It's only gonna look better the more you use it and the more you polish it. And that's such an important characteristic of a shoe that when you're investing in one, is you want the leather really to age beautifully, because it's one of the things I love most about a beautiful pair of shoes is the patina that a pair of leather shoes develops, even with the black pair. So this is made from a fantastic high quality upper leather. Now let's look a little bit about the make. Now the make is the same for all of these shoes, and that is exceptionally high. especially at the $425 price point. For just a little extra money than what you would spend on a pair of Allen Edmonds, you get an exceptional amount of additional nuanced handwork and craftsmanship that to me is what makes a shoe beautiful, and it's why I fell in love with high quality Goodyear welted footwear. What are those characteristics? Well, first you see a beautiful, well-developed, well-designed, and well-balanced last. It's not pitched too far forward, it's not too far back, and it really is beautiful. Second, you see is really good last definition right here, and a narrow waist that it has kind of through the bottom of the shoe. Now, what does that mean? That translates to really exceptional arch support. The shoe is cupping the arch because it's a narrow waist and really kind of hugging your foot. Now, if you've never worn a pair of shoes that has good arch support, it's difficult to understand how big of a difference this makes to comfort. But as someone that has had, all the way up to the best bespoke shoes, I can say one of the defining characteristics of even the great bespoke shoes is this arch support that you're able to get for just $425. Let's look at construction. The upper is stitched together beautifully with a high stitch density. Look at how tight, how neat, and how close this stitching is together. Again, a characteristic of a really well-made shoe that really gives it that finesse and that tightness that really, to me, speaks of a manufacturer that is taking pride in the work that they're doing. That stitch density also extends to the outsole that's stitched to the Goodyear welt. Again, it's very narrow and trimmed very close to the upper, right? Especially here at the waist with a slight fiddle. I love that. But you can see right here along the edge of the shoe on top of the welt, not only do you have a high stitch density of probably pushing 8 stitches per inch, by comparison with a pair of Allen Edmonds, you're getting 3, maybe 4 stitches per inch, but it's also fudged, which are those small indentations on top of the welt that on a hand-welted shoe would mark for the shoemaker where the perforations are going to be. But on a Goodyear welted shoe, really is just one of those elements of finesse that help kind of pull this all together and make it beautiful. Next, let's turn the shoe over to one of the areas of the shoe that I love to assess workmanship, and that is the outsole. It seems a little bit counterintuitive, but I find that the outsole is, in fact, a great indication of the overall make quality of the shoe, because if the shoemaker is spending time on the outsole, it means that they're minding all of the other details. And the outsole of this TLB is really beautifully finished. Now, what do we have here? One, you can see that it's a beautifully finished outsole. It's polished at the factory to give it a nice kind of brown finish. But more importantly than that, you have something called invisible channel stitching. And that is where the outsole is cut into and peeled back before the outsole is stitched to the welt. And what that produces is such a beautiful finish to the outsole because you don't see any of those stitches that, like on a pair of Allen Edmonds, you see on the bottom. It's that characteristic that whenever you turn the shoe over, whenever you're crossing your legs, just really gives this shoe an exceptional finish and really just a high degree of detail to the make. It's Goodyear welted, of course, which is exceptionally important. What does Goodyear welting mean? Well, Goodyear welting is the process by which that welt is glued to the insole. And what it does is it allows the shoe to be very easily resoled without altering any of the fit. Now, one of the things that you see with a really high quality pair of shoes is that the uppers will outlast the outsoles by several times, right? So, this shoe should easily last 20 years. And during those 20 years, you should have to resole this shoe, 2, 3, maybe 4 times, depending on how much you're wearing it. So this Goodyear welting allows you to pull that outsole off and put another one on without altering any of the fit. It's kind of like with the car, that if every single time your tires wore out, you had to throw the car away and buy a new one. That's not how cars are made. You're able to replace those tires and continue driving that vehicle several times, and that is just like Goodyear welting. One final detail I want to draw your attention to, and that is how beautifully the heel block sits underneath the heel. For one, you've got great definition. There's good hard countering in here. This is that hard piece of leather that sits in between the upper and the inner lining. And this is what gives structure to the shoe and prevents creasing and really helps the shoe not only support the foot better, but also age beautifully. But look at how this outsole just sits so nicely underneath that and really cups. One of the things that is just a pet peeve of mine is whenever the outsole really is just too large for the shoe. We've all seen it, this huge heel block, with a 2 or 3, maybe even 4 millimeter gap that kind of runs all the way around. And maybe on a derby or a more casual country shoe, that's okay. But on a really beautiful dress shoe, you want the back of the shoe to be as clean and as close to the foot as possible. And TLB really is doing an exceptional job with this here. So this is the black Captoe Oxford. I mean, this is a foundational piece, but maybe you're someone that doesn't wear black, or maybe you've already got a great pair of black Captoe Oxfords. That's why in this group made to order, we're offering this same shoe in a beautiful kind of medium brown. Now this is a great brown that isn't too light, that would make it casual and limit the amount of times that you'd use it. That's a beautiful brown that could be worn with like a navy suit. And again, a brown Captoe Oxford is another one of those foundational classics. I mean, if you had only 2 shoes, a brown Captoe Oxford and a black Captoe Oxford, I mean, to be totally honest, you'd be set for life. But let's say that you've already got those, or let's say that you really enjoy casual shoes. We've got another beautiful model, and that is our Captoe Semi-Brogue. Now this is available in 2 leathers or finishes. One is a pebble grain, which is an embossed calf skin. A beautiful kind of casual weekend shoe. The amount of broguing, the toe medallion, kind of all this detail, again, makes it a more or less formal shoe. Really perfect for denim or for an odd pair of trousers or for the weekend. I mean, this would be perfect with what I'm wearing today. And what I like about the pebble grain is that it gives a really exceptional visual texture to the shoe itself, which honestly is beautiful. All of the build characteristics are the same. Again, you've got the invisible channel stitching, the narrow waist, the great arch support. You've got the beautifully finished heel. This is a brown shoe, so you can see really how nicely and how beautifully this solid leather heel stack is dyed. You kind of see the different color of each layer, which I like, and which you only get with a really high quality leather heel. And again, this is an absolutely beautiful shoe. It's available in this medium brown pebble grain, but we're also offering it in a medium brown suede. This shoe, as a suede, is an exceptional shoe, especially for travel, because suede is so durable. You can't scuff it, you can't scratch it. I mean, you could kick a wall with your suede shoes and the leather would be absolutely fine. Whereas with calfskin, you really need to mind that because it scuffs and scratches easily. Now, of course, polish can fix that, but again, you have to worry about it. The other benefit of suede is honestly, it's so easy to maintain and clean and care for. Almost all you have to do is brush it. It's one of the things I love about suede. Another really interesting casual model, a friend of mine calls this the mullet of shoes, business in the front, party in the back. I think that, it's kind of funny to think of it like that, but really this is a beautiful shoe, especially in this dark brown. This is actually designed after a pair of St. Crispins that I had made that I've really just loved and enjoyed wearing. And I love being able to introduce 2 different materials into a shoe. It just gives it that visual interest and makes it more interesting than just a solid pair of shoes. And it's just that subtle detail that you had something made that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise find in a store. This is, again, a semi-brogue, but it's less broguing than what you see on this shoe, making it a slightly more formal shoe, but still on the casual side. There's no medallion on the cap, but you do have punching across the cap, and then here kind of around the vamp in the facing of the shoe. Again, all those characteristics of a well-made shoe you find here in these TLBs. Goodyear welted. You can see I've actually worn this one. Beautiful outsole finishing, just really exceptional workmanship. And one of the things that I really like is, although this shoe has been worn, you can see how little creasing there is across the vamp, and that's because these lasts are well designed. There's not too much extra material across the vamp of the shoe, which leads to that creasing. And again, just really speaks to the workmanship and the thought and the design that went into these shoes. Finally, another pair that again is such a great classic to add to a wardrobe, especially as you swing more casual, and that is what is kind of a light brown or snuff suede derby. Now, derby is defined by this open facing versus the closed facing you have on an Oxford. And this is a very typical of a more casual or a country shoe because it allows the shoe to accommodate greater variations kind of in your foot, maybe as it swells throughout the day because you've gone on a hike, or maybe you're wearing a slightly thicker pair of socks than what you wear during the week in a dress shoe. And so that open facing allows that shoe to really accommodate a slightly larger range of your foot size than a closed facing or closed lacing shoe like an Oxford. This is a beautiful shoe, perfect for the weekend, perfect for a pair of denim, perfect for what I'm wearing. You know, it's a great classic to add. Now again, all those elements are there. You've got the arch support, you've got the high stitch density, you've got the fudging across the welt, you've got the beautifully finished outsole. And this is a shoe that, again, could be worn with the jacket and tie with the outfit that I have on today. But to be totally honest, could just as easily be worn with a pair of jeans, or if you really wanted to push the sartorial limits, you could wear it without socks and a pair of shorts. It's not saying how I would wear it, but you could certainly pull that off and it would work for this shoe. So these are exceptional shoes at $425. It's certainly an investment, don't get me wrong, but I have to say that for $425, you know, less than $50 more than what you would pay for a typical pair of Allen Edmonds, you get all of this craftsmanship and quality that to me represents a great place of where to start if you're interested in investing in high quality Goodyear welted footwear. One of the things that I'm passionate about is quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. And it's a fundamental belief of mine that I've held really since the beginning days of whenever I started really dressing well and getting into classic menswear, is that you can afford to invest in quality if you know how to take care of it. But you have to know what quality is. And it's one of the things that I love here at Kirby Allison is the opportunity to review these slightly harder to find, kind of obscure shoe brands that are really doing such exceptional, high quality work for the money and that represent an exceptional value. And TLB, I have to say, really has hit the nail on the head. What they're making for just $425, it's still an investment, but it hits that threshold and that inflection point that for just $425, you're really getting a shoe right up there in terms of quality, finesse, nuance that you would, that would cost $800 in London. And that is how I've always approached building my wardrobe, which is determine what is the most I can afford to spend and then go out and find the absolute highest quality item I can for that budget. And I have to say that for $425, these are absolutely exceptional shoes, well made, that'll provide decades of great use. All these shoes can be found on KirbyAllison.com. We're allowing them to be ordered for the next 2 weeks. I think sometime at the end of June, June 28th, we'll be closing this GMTO. We'll be bundling all those orders together. We'll be sending them to the Spanish island of Mallorca, and TLB will get right to work making these through the summer, and we should have them able to deliver late August, early September, 8 to 10 weeks, about 2 months, so July, August, and then we'll be able to deliver them just in time for the fall. I'm Kirby Allison, and as you know, I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Please take a moment to visit KirbyAllison.com, where we have the largest collection of luxury shoe care, luxury garment care, and other luxury clothing accessories like this beautiful sovereign grade tie that I'm wearing today. Thanks for joining me.